Whoa, somebody on the internet is actually pro Super League? Huh? This is crazy. I've never seen anything like this. But here's a video of somebody defending. This video is titled, Why Football Needs the Super League. And I know this is a very, very, very controversial opinion among my subscribers. And I don't know that I agree with him, but I'm going to watch the video to see what his argument is. Let's get into this.
I mean, I'm a Manchester United fan and have been for 40 years of my life, but I'm disgusted, absolutely disgusted.
The money's not pouring in because your league's not that good. So you want to create a Super League so you can get rich off that. Your league is not good. It is not the best league in the world. The Premier League is.
And that's what Barcelona, Real Madrid, Milan, Juventus can't get their heads around.
They have changed a game that like millions and millions of people across the world have grown up loving.
Last October, we began an open dialogue on the future of European club football. Since then, we have spoken to nearly 50 European clubs and other stakeholders.
I'm so here for the smoke. This is crazy.
The assessment that the very foundation of European football is under threat. It is time for change.
The European Super League. Some people love it, some people hate it. Regardless of where you stand, in this video I want to make my case as to why I think football needs it. Before I start, I want to be clear, I'm not trying to hate on Premier League. In fact, I think it's currently the best product out there for a casual fan. And the people in charge of it have done a great job to take the league to where it is today. But I think we need to take a step back and look at things from a wider perspective, through a lens outside of Premier League. When you look at the landscape of football across Europe, you start to realize that there are many teams that are struggling to compete at the highest level. And this all stems from the fact that there is a big growing financial disparity between Premier League and the other top 5 leagues. And this has been the ultimate cost of Premier League becoming, as Jamie Carragher said, the Super League. People need to understand the Super League basically already exists, it's just that it has a different name. And to be fair to Premier League, this is not a new thing in football. When Serie A was in its prime, the best players from other leagues would usually go there. And most recently, during the peak Real Madrid and Barcelona days, we saw the same pattern. But the Premier League's era of dominance is different and it's much worse for the rest. Let's look at what I mean. Normally, in every league, you have a pyramid structure where the top club feeds on the middle clubs and take their best players, manager, etc. Of course, you have some rare cases where the reverse happens, but generally this is how it works. Now, I am not arguing this is how...
Yeah, that's something that the American sports fan doesn't understand and definitely doesn't like. In our leagues, you never, except for minus the Patriots, you don't really often have a team always dominating the top and then poaching players off of other clubs. You pretty much have a new champion every year. Some teams, the most championships won by a team, I think, is 9, which is the Patriots. But most of the times, teams don't dominate like that. Teams don't win that many championships like that. And it's because we have a more... our system is different. So anyway, I don't know. It's just like this idea, like Barcelona and Real Madrid are always going to be top of the league in La Liga. Always. They're always going to be that, that club. Bayern Munich seems to be that over there in the Bundesliga. So I don't know. It's interesting. Ayo, so in this video, we wade into some pretty controversial waters. I understand that. And seeing as I've been a fan for a year and a half, please don't take my opinions seriously. I don't know the intricacies of every bit of this argument. And so if I say something that maybe comes across as ignorant, correct me in the comment section, please. But have a little grace on me. I'm pretty new here.
In fact, I think this is the biggest contributing factor as to why nowadays we only see 2 or 3 teams winning La Liga, Bundesliga, or Serie A. But we can agree that's just how things have been for a long time in pretty much every league, even Prem. The top 6 always got their eyes on a potential rising star that plays for one of these middle clubs. The issue that football has today is that Premier League clubs have become so rich that they have started buying players of that middle category from other leagues. And even take the best players of some of of the top teams. People will say that's just how things have always been whenever a league is at its peak, but I would argue we have never seen it happen at this frequency. This process has not only made Premier League more attractive and competitive, but it also made their competition less appealing to a casual viewer. Let's take Bundesliga as an example. The common belief among football fans is that Bayern's dominance is due to them taking the best players from other teams. While this definitely plays a part, Bayern is not the only team doing it. Barcelona buy the best players from Sevilla, Valencia, Juventus buy the best players from Fiorentina, Manchester City from Aston Villa or Leeds. Actually, I would argue that the Premier League has contributed significantly to Bayern's unprecedented 10 league titles in a row. They have weakened Bayern's competition more than Bayern itself. Think about it. How many times have you seen in recent years the English teams buying the best players of Dortmund, RB Leipzig, Leverkusen, Wolfsburg, all these teams? What about the Portuguese league? Porto, Benfica and Sporting have pretty much become a stopgap for Portuguese and South American players before they move to Prem. How many times have you seen Ajax get raided every summer? Now let's hear the counter arguments to this.
It's never been even before, because Barcelona and Real Madrid have always took the best players in the world from every other club.
I totally agree, football has never been even before, but it has also never been this uneven. At what point have we seen this number of top players all moving to one specific league? The vast majority of football star power is concentrated in Premier League. As much as someone like this guy thinks it's because Premier League is much better than everyone else, the fact is, it mostly comes down to money. The Champions League has shown us that the difference in quality is not actually that big. The only reason Bournemouth are able to outcompete AC Milan is because of money. Carragher brings up Barcelona and Real Madrid, but ignores the fact that their pull power is unmatched because of their history and prestige. Whereas in Premier League, if you put aside United, Arsenal and maybe Liverpool, the rest all get their pull power from their pockets. Take Ronaldo for example. He left United even though they were a better team at the time than Real Madrid. He probably could have earned the same amount of money too if he had stayed. Or take Lewandowski, who left the dominating Bayern side and took a wage cut to join Barcelona. Players come to Barca and Real because of their place in football. It's an unwritten rule that you can't be in the greatest of all time conversations if you have never played for either club. Unless of course your name is Pele. So to me it makes no sense to compare Barca and Madrid attracting the best players to a club like Chelsea or City, who 90% of the time attract players because of the money they are willing to pay. Another point that gets brought up is the
Alright, so it seems like you've got two competing philosophies here. You either go to one of these historic clubs like Barca or Real Madrid so that you can solidify a legacy, or you go to one of these just Premier League clubs because they have more money that they can pay you as a player. You got two options as a player. Do I go try to cement my legacy in a more, glory, go for the glory of the weight of the club, or do I go for a paycheck? And so I guess that's kind of what I'm seeing here.
It is not the best league in the world, the Premier League is. And that's because you're bloody greedy. That's because Real Madrid and Barcelona are greedy.
Some say Premier League is successful because the revenue is generously shared among the 20 clubs, and teams like Barca or Real Madrid are greedy and don't split it like they should. And I understand this point. I think there's a fair criticism in there, but it's important to see why the top Premier League clubs are willing to share the revenue more fairly compared to the Spanish teams. It's simple, they are owned by billionaires and some by countries. An extra 50 or 60 mil makes no difference for Man City, Chelsea, United or other top teams. That is pocket change to them. Whereas member-owned clubs like Barca and Real need that money to compete financially. I promise you, if magically the City owners were removed and City became a fan-owned club like Barca, they will want a bigger piece of that TV revenue like everyone else. Allowing all these foreign billionaires with questionable backgrounds taking over the clubs over the years has helped create this structure. If tomorrow Qatari billionaires took over Barca or Real, they wouldn't care that much about this.
That's one of the reasons why in American sports we have the salary cap, except for in baseball. But you have the salary cap in place where teams can't overspend. Teams have a certain number that they can get to as far as before they start getting salary cap hits. And the salary cap, in theory, and I think it's done a good job of it, it evens that playing field in the league to where you don't have a team dominating because they can spend more. But you have more, every team gets a shot at this. They all kind of have the same ability They need to make shrewd business dealings, shrewd signings. They need to be smart with how they spend the money that they're allotted, or that the money that their club brings in. But there is a cap where the richest teams don't get to just dominate and bully the other clubs. If we didn't have a salary cap in the NFL, my team, the Dallas Cowboys, would be perennial champions. And the reason being is because we make billions of dollars. Still the most lucrative franchise, sporting franchise in the world. And so that's why we put the salary cap in place. And so coming from my perspective, like, that is good to me. That's what I prefer in my sports leagues. I understand the argument that if a team is dominant, they should be rewarded by being able to have financial incentives to win and be dominant, but and rather than having penalties for being dominant. I understand both sides of the argument, it seems, but coming from my background, this makes a lot of sense to me. It's just kind of the way things are for us.
Played either. And let's just say Barca and Real are just greedy. What about Bundesliga? The revenue there is fairly shared if you ask me. So why can't they compete with Premier League? Again, it all goes back to having billionaires pumping money into these clubs. The German teams will never be able to financially compete with the English teams as long as 50+1 rule exists. The only solution they have is either to sell their club or join the Super
50+1 rule being that the fans have a majority share of ownership in the club. I think is a good thing. I really do. I think I can see how that's beneficial, how it protects against, some of that greediness, but it might affect the quality of the league for sure.
League. Now let's talk about what actually that would look like. According to his chief executive, the Super League could contain up to 80 teams in a multi-divisional format, which I would guess will be similar to NBA's Eastern and Western Conference. There are no permanent members, all spots are earned. Each team is guaranteed to play minimum 14 matches per season. The confusion that many have is that Super League is meant to replace individual leagues, when in reality it's trying to replace the Champions League. Now, is the Super League the perfect solution? I don't know, maybe not, but right now it's the only real option we have to make football more balanced, because at the current rate, Premier League is getting bigger while the rest are being left behind. And this is why it makes sense why some Premier League teams and their fans especially are against this, because they benefit the least from it. Right now they have created almost a monopoly where their financial advantage allows them to do whatever they want. Anyways, that was my take on this whole Super League situation. If you agree or disagree, let me know why in the comments. I'm always open to hearing the
Alright, y'all go hit this video up. I've linked it in the description below. Super small channel, quality video. I'm not sure I agree with his opinion, but quality video. So go check out that video and give him some support over there. Now, when it comes to my opinion here, the Super League sounds like something I'm familiar with. It just sounds like American sports, if I'm being honest. I've heard arguments on both sides, and I don't know. I really don't know what's best here. I know that most of the European fans that I talk to are not a fan of it. It's reasonable to me, but I don't know. So I don't have the same attachment that many of the fans would have. So I'm not sure. For me, I wouldn't be so adamantly against the Super League. But, I mean, it could just be the fact that the way things are now seems pretty great. and it seems to be working the way that we've got it now. Why do we need to change anything? I don't know, but I just waded into some very, very controversial waters in this video. And so I'll accept all of the comment section debate